The following is a presentation of TFNN. Time to talk about your health. Living a primal lifestyle.
You know, we have Tom from Tampa on the phone. Hey, Tom. Good morning. It's bright and early now, huh?
Hey, Paige. Good. How you guys doing, Nico?
Doing great.
Good. Hey, your newsletter's outstanding, man. I'm telling you, man, it is outstanding. And so is the Primal Edge. I love that stuff. I'd never be without it. I mean, I've been on it now 3-4 months, man. I mean, it's just, I can't get over how good I feel.
Primal Edge is, people are raving about it. People who are trying it, they know because you can feel it.
Would not be without it.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now your hosts, Nico and Haan and Paige Clarke.
Good morning, I'm Nico and Haan. Welcome to Living a Primal Lifestyle, where we explore a return to a more balanced, natural, wild world.
That's right, Nico, to recover our natural health and regain our rights and freedoms. I'm Paige Clarke, and good morning, everyone.
And it's a beautiful day in downtown Clearwater, 65 degrees, going up to 75. Maybe it's around 70 now by the time we're here in the studio.
It's kind of our spring break.
It's a beautiful time, I'll tell you. It's time also to remind you to pick up a Health Signals newsletter. We have some great articles in there today that we talked about the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we followed up, we gave you that information on the deuterium-depleted water. Yep. So a lot of good stuff in this issue. Make sure you pick it up.
That's for sure. And also pick up our Primal Edge, our 310 cell-ready ingredients, all made to get you healthy and let the good stuff in.
And the bad stuff come out.
That's right. And we're also taking your phone calls at 877-927-6648. So I wanted to come across with this article here, The Cosmic Rays Continue to Intensify as Historic Solar Minimum Approaches.
Okay, so Nico, look at that picture. Can you scroll up so if they can see that? I mean, that literally is...
a blank sun.
A blank sun. Yeah. That's our sun.
And this was written in March 13th of 2018.
Yeah, listen to this, because you can expound on this. The sun was, on March 13th, the author said, the sun is blank today for the 10th straight day, and it has been without sunspots this year more than half the time, as this solar cycle 24 heads towards the next grand solar minimum.
Yeah, solar cycle 24 is currently on pace to be the weakest sunspot circle with the fewest sunspots since cycle 14 peaked in February of 1906, excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, so solar cycle 24 continues a recent trend of weakening solar cycles, which began with solar cycle 21 that peaked around 1980.
So what is this really saying to us, Nico? Give it to, for those people who may not be following all this. All the indications are that the upcoming solar minimum, which is expected to begin, we're sort of just in the prelude phase, right?
Yeah,
it's supposed to begin in 2019. It may be even quieter than the last one, which was the deepest in nearly a century. Deepest meaning most likely the coldest, correct?
Correct.
The most severe weather. And one of the natural impacts of decreasing solar activity is the weakening of the ambient solar wind and its magnetic field, which in turn allows more and more cosmetic rays to penetrate our solar system.
Yeah, and we've been counting sunspots for a long, long time, and this is just the last 120 years. You can see now we're below the 1900 area, which was a weak cycle. So now we're going to 24, 25, which is supposed to begin 2019, end of 2018. They're even saying this may stretch out a little bit farther.
So our sun is being quiet, folks. Yeah. It's not sending out these sunspots. And as a result of that, we have an increase in cosmic rays.
Yeah, so correct? We have cosmic rays that come from the sun. We have cosmic rays that come from exploding stars way out in the cosmos.
Way out in space.
We have natural radiation that comes from space. So all these things, three things, impact the way we live here on Earth. And our atmosphere has a nice shield around it. And if you look at that shield, it's a nice buffering shield. And when we get a lot of sunspots, this kind of expands this atmosphere of ours to make it nice and large. So when things do come in, like the cosmic rays that are detrimental to us, then we have a nice buffer. So when the sunspots go to sleep, so we don't have as many anymore, then
our buffer is a little impeded.
Yeah, the buffer is impeded, and therefore we get a lot more cosmic rays. And cosmic rays have been very high in the 11 and 12 area in Florida here, and also many places around, and there are people on the web that continually, every single day, tell you what the sunspots are in different parts of the world. So that's kind of handy to see that. But the sunspots, we started counting these in the middle of the 1700s, the 16th century. A couple named the Modders. And that's when the modern minimum. They noticed that very few days had sunspots during that time. So they really started counting that, and that's why it's called the modern minimum. And that was the largest minimum we've had, and that was about 400 years ago. So the consensus...
But hey, let me interject
Okay,
here.
sure.
So does the modern minimum, does this low sunspot activity correlate with the stock market? I remember reading something that the way, volatility in the stock market kind
When
of
you look at
followed
charts, that may be so. I don't know.
I was
really
just
don't
curious.
know.
Maybe
Yeah.
one of the people in the den knows.
Yeah.
But really, what are the consequences of these increasing cosmic rays? There's, it says here that there's greater cloud cover and climate change. So, in effect, folks, yes, we are having climate change. It's just not what you think.
Well, remember, the general consensus is that we're warming and that the clouds actually help warm the planet. So if you ever step into the sun and then step behind a cloud, you know that the cloud cools the planet. There's no such thing as the clouds warming it. That was an old wise tale thinking, we're keeping the heat in. But that's not the case at all.
So there's been a recent study by the Svensmark, published in the August 2016 issue of Journal of Geophysical Research, Space Physics, continues to support the idea of an important connection between cosmic rays and clouds. So if we're seeing more cloud cover, it's because the cosmic rays are stronger. We're not getting the shielding, and therefore clouds are forming more readily. Is that it?
In fact, there was a good video yesterday on the web, and I forget who posted it, showing a plane, and this was a aircraft that looked like it was spewing out the chemtrails. And what this actually was the cosmic rays interfering with all the particulars that are in the air, and the exhaust from the plane then amplifies that. So while we think there's some spraying going on, and I think there are some spraying going on.
There's definitely spraying going on. We could
not
argue
all
that.
of the things that you see are that way. It was Mark Abel. In fact, he was in the mountains, and he saw this huge plane going through. And you could clearly see that it was not the spraying of the plane.
How could you see that?
You can see it by the way if you look at the plane that is spraying it, it looks completely different.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a big gap between where the spray is coming out.
Well, yeah.
But there's, both these things happen, and
it could very well be that's the reason that they are spraying us, because as you watch that movie, What on Earth Are They Spraying? It may be an attempt to justify that they're creating some type of protection from these cosmic rays.
Yeah. So this next chart we have is talking about how the cosmic rays are increasing, and you can see this is a period from December 14th,
2014.
Yeah, 2014 all the way to 2018. You can see
A 13% increase.
And this was taken in one particular place in the middle of California by the Sierra Nevadas. And that seems to be a pretty consistent spot. So you can see that the rays are definitely turning up, but you also can feel it. If you go outside, the sun feels like it's more intense.
And that's what a lot of people have said.
Yeah.
My friend Howard Miller that we like to follow that is documenting that. The sun is intense.
Okay. We'll be right back, folks.
Stay with us.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
Will the S&P 500 continue to climb? For bold trades on U.S. large-cap stocks in either direction, trade SPXL, SPUU, or SPXS. Directions Daily S&P 500 Bull and Bear Leveraged ETFs. Direction Leveraged ETFs. An investor should carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses before investing. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction shares. To obtain a fund's prospectus and summary prospectus, call 866-476-7523 or visit directioninvestments.com. A fund's prospectus and summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Nico and Paige take your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Welcome back. And how could activity under the sun change the economy? You know, once upon a time, people would worship the sun as a deity. It was a good reason that they did so, because the sun provided much of what sustains life on our planet, warmth, bountiful harvests, etc. But how would we survive if the sun stopped beating down on us? This has been a real fear for eons, Nico. You know?
Yes, then came science and industrialization. The new era took over, and we mostly forgot about the sun and the importance to our existence. Just because we stopped paying close attention doesn't mean we've lost any of the importance to the sun.
That's exactly right,
Yeah.
Nico. And I think actually many of us are starting to pay a lot more attention to the sun. We're realizing that it's a key to our circadian rhythm and keeping our health. But it truly may be a bigger macrocosm thing. It's important to the circadian rhythm of the whole planet.
Yeah, and that's
as
why I
life.
like this information that we have on the web. And this book here, Nature's Third Cycle, is a story of sunspots. And it was published by, what's his name?
Chadhari.
Arnab.
Chowdhury.
Oh, Chowdhury.
Anab Rao Chowdhury.
Yeah.
But the key thing is here, you know, indeed, if we are to believe the experts, the sun's behavior is about to change in a way that will have dramatic effects and consequences for the food we eat and the broader economy. So we think this is relevant to our conversation about living a primal lifestyle and to trading. It's going to affect our economy, folks. It's going to affect our food. It's going to affect the way we live our lives. And whether we like it or not, it does have an impact.
Yeah, Nature's Third Cycle, it gives us a condensed history of the study of the sun, of sunspots over the past few centuries back to the Galileo discovery of the sun's 27-day rotation. That's an approximate
And that was when
rotation.
Galileo really started sun physics, you know. So when this period, when the sun's vanished, it's called the grand solar minimum, and we're talking about this a lot, is it also coincided with a sort of mini ice age with harsh winters and short, cool summers. It became known as the Maunder minimum, as we discussed it as, did you say it was a husband and wife?
Yeah, Edward and his wife, I forget what her name was were the two scientists that were looking at the sun, and they were identifying a period from 1640 to 1715 when the spots on the sun disappeared.
Yeah, and a lot of people think that might be controversial, Nico. You know, the idea that the temperature of the Earth could be changed by the fluctuations of dark patterns on the sun's surface. And a lot of people think that's cuckoo or whatever, but that doesn't mean it isn't true.
Well, like I
And,
said, you step under a tree or something like that, you can feel those effects immediately. So everything that happens on the sun tends to have a direct connection to the weather here on this planet and probably all the other planets too. And one of the things we're seeing in our solar system is a lot of changes in the outer and inner planets. So there is definitely something going on in the solar system, and I do believe that it's the sun that makes a big difference.
And as the author of this book, Nature's Third Cycle, he hesitated to make any predictions in the book itself, but since the publication of the books, you know, it's become more apparent based on recent research that we are now in a period of very few or no sunspots. And this has coincided with the brutal winter we are going through right now.
Yeah. He says the question is whether we will enter another grand solar minimum just like the modern minimum, which if history is a guide would mean a period of much colder weather, winters and summers. More than a few experts with whom I spoke have regularly believe that we are entering such a grand minimum along with resulting bone-chilling weather. And we have seen that it's actually the last 10 or 15 years have been actually cooler in the long run, even though we've had some of those warm spikes. But this year we can really tell the difference between those nor'easters. We had 4 of them in a row in about 3-week span. That's highly unusual. We've had lots of rain in March. It never rains in March in California. It always rains in February. So it's already off kilter, and they're getting much more rain than they've had. Now last year they had a bit too, so it's 2 years in a row. That's unusual.
So there's going to be profound effects, folks, on the economy, including possible crop failures and rising energy costs for home and workplace heating. In other words, expect big bills for food and energy. And this is why we want you to be ahead of the game in living a primal lifestyle, becoming more self-sufficient and aware. And because after a period in which the supply of both of these things have been increasingly abundant, then this change will likely come as a shock to many people, as many people will likely be unprepared, and this will have a reverberation through the whole economy.
Well, remember that a couple of weeks ago they had that cold snap in Scotland and in England, and they said the shelves in the grocery stores were gone in just a few hours, not a few days. And that, I think the same thing would happen here during the hurricane we had in the fall. Those shelves emptied pretty quickly, and most of the stuff that was gathered were emergency types of food. Lots of water was gone, all the dry foods were gone, the canned food was gone, and there was still a little fresh meat and stuff left, but that was gone in a couple of days. So.
Yeah, they say what's in the store today only has the ability to supply customers for about 2 hours when there's a rampage, when there's a panic. So, you know, keeping that in mind, perhaps making sure that you've got those things. And, of course, becoming more primal-oriented is one of the reasons we are teaching people here that we were not meant to have this abundance of food available in every Wawa
we
on the
were
corner.
actually most of the time looking for food the day we were looking, you know. That day we're going to eat, we're going to look for food. That's pretty much. It's worth pointing out that the book's author, who is a professor of physics at the Indian Institute of Science, is nothing if not honest about the vast number of unknowns in the field of solar physics.
New field.
Yeah. Unlike mathematics, which dates back millennia, a solar science is a relatively new field, not even 500 years old, all of which means we need to keep our wits about us and study the matter and to see what happens next. And that's what a lot of people like David Dubine and the Ice Age Farmer and the Oppenheimer
group,
all these people are amateur people who are looking at this and giving us a lot of information. So, you know, I think it's important to prepare for this. Just alone, the harsh winters alone, if you're up north, now you know you better stock some extra fuel. You know you better stock some extra food, maybe to get a little bit more equipment for moving that snow around for next year, those types of things. And what's going to happen this summer, we don't know yet, but it might be a shorter type summer. We may be getting more cold events.
Right.
And during these minimums, and if we're going to look at 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25, these are the areas where we'll be deep into this minimum, where there is no sunspots at all, and we have no clue what's going to happen. We can look back 400 years. We can look back maybe even 200 years when we had the mini ice age in the 1800s. But it looks like this 400-year cycle is the biggie, with little small ones in
And it looks
between
like
that.
we're heading for one.
And it does appear we're heading for that. So
It
this is
could
going to
change,
be, it's going to be an
but
adventure, that's for
Better
sure.
safe than sorry.
I think so. So
That's
we're going
right.
to continue to talk about this, and I've got another site here that we're going to go to when we come back. So I'd like to remind you, first of all, a lot of news about this type of thing also in the Health Signals newsletter. It's just not about food, but it is about keeping us safe. So check out the articles in the Health Signals newsletter. It's only $10 a month. Gives you 2 issues a month at the first and third Friday of each, or Tuesday.
That's right.
And of course, pick up the Primal Edge, folks. We'll be right back.
That's right.
So now,
We'd like to tell you about the personal training studio that Nico is the owner and president of, Performance Training. Since 1998, Nico has trained individuals and groups to improve their health both mentally and physically. As a certified personal trainer, Nico's main focus is on demonstrating exercises correctly to avoid injury and teaching his clients how to manage their past injuries while getting the most out of their personal training sessions. The Performance Training Studio is filled with unique training equipment that enhances balanced results at a faster rate while minimizing damage and discomfort. For more information, you can give Nico a call at 727-418-8740 or email him at nico@tfnn.com. Let him know you heard him on TFNN and save up to $100 on a special package just for TFNN listeners. Act today.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
Many of our new listeners have heard about The Tiger's Den. The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of the TFNN shows, plus see all of the charts as they happen live and have access to archives of all of those charts. You can test drive The Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days and greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets and how to make your money work for you. Details on The Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And welcome back to the show, folks. So we're talking about the sun going to sleep now and the consequences of that. We talked about some of the cosmic rays. Now, this Ice Age farmer that we talk about, he has got a good show. I like listening to him. And
he talks with David quite a bit.
Talks with David and other people, too. Now, this is a map showing you problems with agriculture.
Yeah, this really basically gives you areas where there has already been crop loss due to weather effects as a result of the grand solar minimum.
Yeah. Here we have Australia harvest cold wipes out $180 million
worth of Victorian crops. Okay, yeah, so we can get an idea of what the loss is agriculturally.
Queensland flooding damages sugar crop.
Go over to the U.S.
Yeah, we will. Affects food supply. I was just interested in these islands and what they actually, this is livestock lost.
Storms, yes.
Yeah, different things. So if we go, let's go to the U.S. and see what we have. Of course, this is probably in the center of the country here, wheat or something like that. Corn, okay? Strong winds from the corn. Here we have bitter cold winter kill to the wheat belt.
How about in Florida? I'm sure it's going to be citrus.
Yeah, it's got to be citrus.
Florida orange crop post-Maria estimated continues to fall.
Yeah. And we also have the Georgia peach. So peaches are in trouble. In Puerto Rico, what would be there?
100% agricultural loss due to the... So
yeah, interesting too. We had our new AC system installed at our house, and the helper was just 3 months coming out of Puerto Rico. He said he lived there all his life.
Right.
He said he had to leave. He says what's mostly going on. He says, first of all, half the country has no power whatsoever, no fuel. Grocery stores are continuously empty. Mostly what happens when these food trucks go on the road, they're robbed. Usually people in there are robbed. So what's going on is people are surviving the best they can. And if you don't have any money, you don't have any power, you go out and rob and steal whatever you can. And that's what's going on. He and his family had to leave. He said it was just, couldn't stand it anymore. They're glad to be part of the United States. But right now he says that feels much like a third world country. So, yeah, he was talking up a storm about this. Very interesting stuff. Let's see what's happening in California here. So we have British hot buns soar in price because of the raisin shortage. So,
California wildfires.
Wow.
You know.
In the south of California, again, wildfires, lemon.
Just,
Yeah. And then we have Mexico. What do we get from Mexico here?
Yellow squash crop.
Yeah. Texas. Can't see that one.
Yeah, so basically the permafrost bomb is ticking. This was discussed in the Yale Climate Connections, Nico, you know. About a fifth of the northern hemisphere landmass is permafrosted.
Right.
And the ground that has been mostly frozen for 500,000 years or more, and now there are signs of thaw appearing in many places across the vast landscape. And it's accelerating in accelerating rates. Interesting.
Quite possibly we are posed to witness such a transformation within our lifetimes. Ice sheet loss, increased frequency of fires in the tundra and boreal forests, and complete habitat loss for marine mammals, just to name a few examples of the changes that could occur.
You know, so permafrost thaws in the past, during the last 2 million years, because our climate has swung, periodically shifting between cold, glacial, you know, grand solar minimums, and warming interglacial states, which is what we believe we have just recently left.
Yeah.
And so these small variations, you know, we're currently in an interglacial period that began about 11,000 years ago, but we are entering this grand solar minimum. And so we're going to continue to see a shift in weather, folks, and we're going to continue to see it impacting us, you know, personally and economically. And
the glacial cycles, they say here, were driven by changes in the Earth's axial tilt, which slightly altered the distribution of the solar energy across the latitudes, and small variations in incoming energy were amplified by the internal feedback within the climate. Feedbacks from growing and retreating ice sheets, sea ice extent, and large-scale changes in ocean circulation. Those are just some of the examples. What we have noticed, too, in the Arctic that's going on is there's a lot of warm areas around the Alaska area, a lot of cold areas here, and there's a big oscillation that's taking place here, which is starting to dump the water into the North Atlantic, which is what's causing a lot of the nor'easters and, of course, the problems in Ireland and Scotland and the UK there. And of course Northern Europe too. So there are a lot of changes going on. One of the things that I've been reading about too is not only that we have the sunspot problem, but we also have people talking about the magnetic reversal taking place.
Of the poles.
Of the poles. And if we look at the map here, I might be able to demonstrate what's going on. The South Pole was in this area here, and it started coming this way towards the
to Australia.
Yeah, Australia, New Zealand
Right, and then
area.
you've got the North Pole that's moving slightly.
It's moving to this area here, and the conjunction point seems to be somewhere in the middle of the Indian Ocean. And right now the thinking is that both of them will get there, and when they sort of start to meet, that's when they'll switch. At first, when I thought it would naturally go boom, like this. You know, but actually both of them are heading this way, which is a scary thought. In a sense, if you ever seen a magnet flip, have you ever played with little magnets and you try to force the negative to the negative and it flips right away? So if these two things are truly the North and South poles and they're opposing each other, yet they're going towards each other, then
it might not be pretty.
It might not be pretty.
I listened to that podcast where Ben Davidson was talking about that on that Guns and Butter show.
Oh, yes. Yes.
They talked about the
Ice Age
magnetic
Farmer,
reversal.
I think, put that on.
Yeah, that was, no, Guns and Butter is the show.
Oh, is the show?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty interesting. But the key thing, folks, is that there's going to be change, and we need to be prepared. Here's an article, too, that says how you would put this in the feed, how a wayward Arctic current could cool the climate in Europe. And this is some particular Arctic Ocean current that's acting strangely right now.
Okay.
And it says scientists say it may be on the verge of discharging a huge amount of ice and cold fresh water that could kick off a period of lower temperatures in northern Europe. Is that what you were referring to when you showed us on the map
I did.
there?
Yes, yes.
And so it's called the Beaufort Gyre, a massive wind-driven current in the Arctic Ocean. Has been regulating climate and sea ice formation at the top of the world. And like a giant spinning top, the gyre has corralled vast amounts of sea ice, and trapped in this clockwise swirl, the ice has historically had more time to thicken than it generally does in other parts of the Arctic Ocean. But it's acting strangely now. These days, something is amiss with this vital plumbing system in the Arctic, and the region is warming faster than any other part of the planet, creating that water spill into the Arctic. So see, there's spots where we're warming and spots where we're cooling. So the grand solar minimum really means the sun is slowing down. There's going to be more chaotic weather of all types.
Yeah, and the interesting too, of course, we have many different camps of people saying the Earth is warming, some say it's cooling.
And
a lot of
the key
confusion
is
about
it's
that.
changing.
But because there's a lot of things in flux here at the same time, and that's
Yes.
why I think it's confusing
I
people.
think it's true.
We'll be right back, folks.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
No matter what kind of trader you are, 2018 is a great time to try out a subscription to Tom O'Brien's Gold Report. Whether you just plan on diversifying your portfolio with some exposure to gold and gold mining equities, or you're a gold bull that sees 2018 as the year of commodities, now is a great time to sign up for the Gold Report. Tom O'Brien publishes his Gold Report every Monday morning before the market opens and covers a variety of topics including gold, silver, platinum, copper, the XAU and HUI, the dollar, bonds, South African rand, as well as more than 20 of the most actively traded mining equities. Start your 2018 off with a bang and sign up for the Gold Report today. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. For all the details and to start your subscription right now, visit the front page of TFNN.com and you'll find the Gold Report under Investment Newsletters. David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV for the latest market information.
So recently, an article has come out about the dangers of EMFs, and this was it was in the ehtrust.org website, really good site about electromagnetic frequencies, and it says the world's largest animal study on cell tower radiation really does confirm the cancer risk. And the scientists are calling on the World Health Organization, International Agency for Research on Cancer, to reevaluate the carcinogenicity of cell phone radiation after this study. The Ramazzini Institute and the U.S. government studies report finding the same unusual cancers, folks.
Yeah, and of course, when we talk about the cosmic rays, this is another form of type
electromagnetic
of rays.
frequencies,
Yes,
right.
very
Non-native, native.
Yeah, so this is the reason why I brought this into the mix, because not only do we have to deal with what's here already that we've made, we now have to deal with what's coming from space and from the sun and from the other planets. So it could be like a double whammy that we often speak about.
Yeah, but you know, I hear what you're saying, and maybe as it goes on, I really do think the man-made non-native EMFs are going to be a much bigger threat to us.
They certainly can be. Now, if the power goes out, then it's not anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's true. Yeah,
so
we won't. Yeah,
might
exactly.
be a blessing in disguise here, folks. Researchers with a renowned institute, Ramazzini
Institute.
Yeah, they're from Italy, and they announced that a large-scale lifetime study of lab atoms exposed to the environmental levels of cell tower radiation have developed cancer. A $25 million study of much higher levels of this RF radiation frequency from the U.S. National Toxicity Program has reported finding the same unusual cancer. They call
this cancer schwannoma of the heart in male rats treated at the highest dose.
Yeah, in addition, the RI study of cell tower radiation also find increases in malignant brain tumors in female rats and precancerous conditions, including the hyperplasia in both males and females, means cell change. Okay.
So this evidence indicating wireless devices is carcinogenic has increased and can no longer be ignored. If we're sitting around waiting for Apple and Samsung to tell us that our little toys that we can't live without not good for us. That's never going to happen, folks. We really have to pay attention to some of this independent research and make the remediations necessary to keep ourselves and our families safe.
Yeah, this study exposed 2,448 rats from the prenatal life until the natural death to environmental cell tower radiation for 19 hours per day. That's 1.8 gigahertz of radio frequency radiation.
Here's some things, though. What really happens, Nico, is this study raises concerns that simply living close to a cell tower will pose threats to human health.
Yes.
And the governments need to take measures to reduce exposure from cell tower emissions. We can't go near them. We'd get arrested if we, there's a lot of people that are doing things from an Oregon perspective and other energy sources to remediate cell towers. They're gifting this. They're going around at night and doing little things. I learned this from Dr.
Really?
Forbes and stuff. Yeah, I mean, there's people all over the world that actually are trying to negate the effects by using some of these Oregon generators and so forth. We need to talk about that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
But it's about public health agencies need to educate the public on how to reduce exposure from all of these sources of wireless radio frequencies. I mentioned to you the EMF smog effects seminar that I've been doing. I'm really hoping to have my friend Nick Pinio on to discuss that. He's a second round. I think he's creating it as a course that will be available to people. We can't wait for anyone to save us. We've got to save ourselves by becoming educated.
The evidence indicating wireless is carcinogenic has increased and can no longer be ignored.
Yes, exactly.
Go. The study raises concerns that simply living close to the cell tower will pose a threat to human health.
That's right. We said it.
Yes.
And this
so
is
imagine what it can do when you lift it up to your ear and close to your brain, things like that.
Exactly. You've got to have good EMF hygiene. And this is particularly urgent because of the current plans to place small 5G cell towers about every 300 meters in every street across the country.
Wow.
So these 5G small cell meters will result in continuous exposure to everyone living nearby and everyone walking down the street. The increased exposure will increase the risk of cancer and other diseases such as electrohypersensitivity. And electrohypersensitivity is truly impacting millions of people worldwide as they try and just live a normal life, but are unable to do so because of the ubiquitous covering of all this EMF stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so. This is a good research group. These investigators completed nearly 500 cancer bioassays on more than 2,000 different compounds, and their study design is unique in that animals are allowed to live until their natural deaths in order to allow detection of the late developing tumors. So they're really doing extensive studies and not just doing this for 6 months or a year. They're actually letting these animals go through their whole lifespan so they can figure out what's going on, what happens in the later stages that many of these studies don't address.
Well, the reason I think this is powerful, folks, is this is going to give us the information to provide a wake-up call to governments to enact protective policies for the public, to limit exposures to the public. We need to turn to the governments and the industry to be responsible in providing these remediations, because if you leave it to the wolf in sheep's clothing, right? The actual people, what is it, who's guiding the fox is guarding the hen house. You can't leave it to the foxes, guys. They're not going to protect us.
So the reason that a lot of this research is important, that 80% of all human cancers are kind of late developing. So when they let these animals live for a long time and dying naturally, even though they die of cancer, it gives us a clue on what is happening to us also. The longer observation period has allowed the RI to detect such late occurring tumors and the number of chemicals, and this is all published. And it includes things like benzene. Benzene is used in soft drinks.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Everything that's
when you've
put in a
got
can.
radiation and chemical toxicity and radiation toxicity, I believe radiation is a big elephant in the room because it's unseen. So people think because they're not seeing it, it's not doing damage. Anyways, guys, check it out. Go to ehtrust.org. What does that stand for? It stands for the Environmental Health Trust. And the EHT is a scientific virtual think tank conducting cutting-edge research on environmental health risks with some of the world's top researchers. And the Environmental Health Trust educates individuals, health professionals, and communities about policy changes needed so that we can reduce these risks.
Yeah, and some of these policy changes are really limiting exposure to children. There's a lot of countries like China, Italy, India, and
that
Russia.
have absolutely eliminated Wi-Fi from the environments. That this should be it. And what are we doing here in America? We're putting We're putting towers right by elementary schools. We're giving out iPads, which are wireless devices, to these children with their small
But the
brains.
schools get money from these towers. We'll be right back, folks. It's aggravating.
You don't buy into that nonsense, do you? You know you can't time the markets. I didn't. And in 2006, I set out on a mission to do just that. I began by surrounding myself with the greats like Tom O'Brien, Larry Pesavento, David White, and Basil Chapman. I read countless books and even looked to the moon and planets for answers. Now, we both know that trading is 80% mental. So I learned the exact tools that Tony Robbins uses to overcome fear. I'm Steve Rhodes, author of Mastering Probability. Last March, the folks at Timers Digest began tracking my newsletter signals, which through January 18, 2018, placed me as the #1 gold timer for that exact time frame. Now, I can't officially be recognized until Timers Digest has a full year of signals, but clearly I've learned how to time the markets, and I'd like to teach you how to do that as well. Subscribers to Mastering Probability gain access to my live and archive workshops where I show you the exact same patterns that earned me this #1 ranking. If you're looking for great market calls and an education, sign up for Mastering Probability today at TFNN.com.
Hi folks, Tom O'Brien here. If you'd like to get my daily newsletter, Market Insights, then now is a great time to sign up for a 30-day free trial. Every morning by 9:30, I send out my morning letter to subscribers with market commentary on a variety of markets, currencies, and commodities to keep investors up to date on the day's trading action. Included in Market Insights are specific buy and sell recommendations for stocks, ETFs, and even options, with stops and price targets included for every trade in my newsletter. If you'd like to try my newsletter risk-free for 30 days, then head over to the front page of TFNN and you'll find Market Insights under Trading Newsletters. I use my years of trading experience to bisect and dissect the market every morning and give my subscribers the most important information they need to know for the day ahead. I even issue afternoon updates for my subscribers whenever warranted with important market action. I'm always scouring the market for the next great trading opportunity. Sign up for your 30-day free trial to my daily newsletter, Market Insights, today by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Wow! Go get 'em, folks.
No matter where you're listening to TFNN programming, you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones, iPads, and Android devices, located in the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and call-in talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com, educating investors.
And we've been talking a little bit about, we were just talking about whether or not these EMFs and cell phones are bad for us. And of course, we are seeing that research is coming out. Here's an article in Green Med Info. Cell phone radiation, is it unlikely to cause cancer? Fact or fiction? But according to the World Bank, about 3/4 of people on the planet now use a cell phone, so they must be safe. Is that right or wrong? Well, it's wrong, folks. They're not safe, you know? And we really need to be paying attention. What is less clear is just how dangerous is this radiation, and can it cause cancer, as we just revealed. A landmark study, jaw-dropping study out of Italy showing that in fact it does. You know, it was this is the article, the $25 million cell phone radiation study finds a cancer link. And that was the other study you referenced, Nico, in that article, the U.S. National Toxicology Program. And so we've got multiple studies worldwide that are showing that there is an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
in May 2016, a report of partial findings of the NTP study was published, and the incidence of brain cancer in the brain in the heart of male rats was when they were exposed to RF. So this might be citing that study that we were talking about. Maybe this is another study.
Well, no. What happened is what GreenMed Info is saying is they came out with their bold statements of this increase in cancer, and then all of a sudden, in February 2018, they held a press conference, and they kind of did a little shift.
They said it's not so bad.
I wonder if they got a little pocket padding. That's
little funding,
right.
Maybe.
They fast forward, so they held a press conference, and their newly published data on the biological effects of radiofrequency radiation, and then they changed their tune. It says, the article here says, did they actually come out and say cell phone radiation does not cause cancer? No, they didn't. But there was a very clear change of direction. And what is this telling us? It's telling us that these companies are getting, these researchers are getting pressure from the power of the telecom industry, the most powerful industry on the planet, I believe.
Yeah.
And, they had, some of the pathology numbers had been modified since the initial report of partial findings was published. And it's not so much about the data, it's about how the data has been presented and interpreted. So we're
really talking about brain health here, the hypothalamus, all these things that we talk about. It's very disturbing. And as we get more educated in this, are we going to drop these phones and maybe go back to smoke the signals? Or,
it might be the thing to do, because independent research concur that cell phone radiation can cause cancer and it causes DNA damage. And we need to be aware of this, that cell phone radiation can cause infertility, cardiovascular disease, birth defects. And it does, in fact, cause cancer. And don't be duped.
Yeah. You need to take steps to protect you and your family from cell phone radiation and similar electromagnetic field exposures. So not just the cell phone, but living near these places. Remember those wires we saw a few weeks ago when we were talking about in the 1900s when they were putting up wires in New York City and Boston?
Oh, yeah.
And there were just hundreds of wires. And then they already knew and started squashing this information to the public. So.
That's right. And if you want to get more information from a research perspective that collates the research that's out there, greenmedinfo.com
That's the place to go.
Does a great job. They have a whole database on the subject of mobile phone usage, the dangers of mobile phone usage that go beyond cancer. They include, as we said, sleep disorders, stress, cardiovascular, birth defects.
So maybe
memory
the
problems.
Hardwired cell phone or the hardwired phones are the way we get back to.
Did we go over that phone that I showed you? I don't. Maybe we'll do it on Thursday.
Yeah.
I found a phone that's being marketed that one of my friends has actually ordered. I'm anxious to hear the feedback before we talk about it. But it's a phone that is kind of going. It's like going back.
Going backwards.
Kind of going back towards giving us some of the.
It's 3G, folks, not 5G.
Yeah, right. and it may be cool, as Jack Cruz says. That's what you want to do. The cool places to live are going to be those that are still on 2 and 3G, which means poor countries. So that's where you want to be if you want to stay healthy.
Thanks for sticking around, folks.
Come be with us on Thursday and stay healthy, and we'll see you then.
Bye-bye.
Basil Chapman has just announced that on Tuesday, April 3rd at 6 p.m., he'll be hosting a special 90-minute webinar for all of his subscribers titled The Power of the Fourth Highest Peak, the Peak D in the Chapman Wave. During this 90-minute live webinar, Basil will be discussing how to use the fourth highest peak, the Peak D, as a heads-up for either a directional reversal of consequence or a momentary pit stop for further gains in the Chapman Wave. He'll also be going over what the weekly and monthly implications are for the key indices with their peak Ds and even peak Es, together with the H pattern in the Chapman wave that he's been following for weeks with his subscribers. Now is a perfect time to sign up for Basil's daily trading service, The Opening Call, while gaining access to the April 3rd live online webinar. Remember, all new subscribers get a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. For all the details and to sign up today for Basil's Opening Call, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You're watching Tiger TV.